crap.
Liberals, out. Lefties, out. This is aimed at the conservatives, okay? They're going through a rough time right now.
Great,
okay?
Larry Lefterson.
Their face was
Thanks
just
a
like
lot.
Derek Chauvin as he got layered out. Guilty verdict after guilty verdict after guilty verdict, okay? And I understand you're confused and you're upset, okay? You want to live in a world where cops can use extreme and unwarranted measures which lead to the death of people and not face any legal consequences. And that's just, today at least, that's not the world we live in. I know you're upset, okay? I want to preempt some of these arguments that I'm going to be hearing over the next year, okay? Are you guys ready for it? Are you ready for it? Okay, let's do it. We're going to run them
Notice
through, people.
the enemy
First
poster
off,
in the
fentanyl
back.
Floyd, the jury was rigged. He died of fentanyl. No, there was plenty of expert testimony very convincingly indicating that the restriction of George Floyd's breathing was, in fact, the primary determinant in his death. Additionally, second-degree unintentional murder does not require your actions to be the sole and only cause of death. Just partially causing a person's death can be enough. Keep in mind, for example, you know what's even more debilitating than fentanyl? Being really fucking old. But as it turns out, if you strike a really old person and they die from oldness, you're still responsible for killing them. You can't argue, oh, well, they were old. They were
Yeah, you know, I like how Vaush is completely negating the fact that George Floyd was resisting arrest. You know, he's only painting the picture of the optics that have been shown by the mainstream media and basing his debate on that optics. I mean, this is not a random cop that decided to, you know, assert his Johnny Law type authority and decided to fucking abuse George Floyd. George Floyd literally resisted arrest and continuously resisted arrest. And I don't know if you know this, Vaush, but that was a pretty big brother, pretty muscular as well. So that's why there had to have been several officers holding him to the ground. It just so happened to be Derek Chauvin holding his knee to his neck. And that's all anybody showed. I mean, that's what the viral videos that went out showed. But you're sitting here trying to make this idea that it was just, oh, well, a cop just abused his power and killed a man. This is a joke. And the only reason that fruit bowls like you, Vaush, are even safe to be pompous-ass man-children in your fucking safety of your home is because police keep the folks that would want to do your harm out of the streets. All right, the criminals out of the streets. The only reason that gays, lesbians, and women have the protection they do to be as boisterous as they are is because of law and order, you dumbass.
Killed them, sorry. And as Derek Chauvin's supervisor and fellow officers were happy to testify, Derek Chauvin's use of force on George Floyd was not part of department policy. It was unwarranted, unexpected, and not justified. He has had a previous record of abuse used against other people. He was no angel, that Derek Chauvin guy, which is why I'm very happy to see him go to prison. See, you may be angry right now because you see the the hypocrisy, okay? The conservatives, they don't riot, you know, they're not mad. But when the Black Lives Matter types get mad, they burn down cities. They get so angry. And I think this is the root.
What's
the
the
main
root?
argument
What's
that
the
people
root?
use against Black Lives Matter, use for Derek Chauvin, this broader argument that conservatives don't build buildings down, black people do. Why are they so angry and we're not? Well, the main reason for that is because you're not actually protesting any injustice. When a black person sees that video of George Floyd dying, they see reflected in George Floyd's
you know
eyes,
what? Okay, great, Vaush. Okay. You want to know what you just made the argument for? The argument for propaganda. You are basically saying that the optics of the George Floyd video was the precursor for black violence or Black Lives Matter rioting or looting, etc. Yet, you know, Vaush, it's very easy for you to take that mainstream narrative because the propaganda machine gives you this so you can talk as pompously and as arrogant that you are. But you know what? It's really funny because I don't ever hear anything about this mass shooting that happened yesterday morning. All right, did y'all hear about this? Put the PC shot on. 9 juveniles injured in a gunfight that broke out at a 12-year-old's birthday party, okay? And you don't hear about this. And guess who, the demographic of the folks that were involved in this? That's right, all right? I mean, you don't ever talk about the injustice of this and the injustice of that. The only reason that you put the George Floyd optics as the basis of your debate, because that's the only thing the mainstream is delivering. They're picking and choosing what's going to get more traction and what's going to cause more agitation to the folks that are willing to go out and wreck their own towns, wreck their own neighborhoods, wreck their own black-owned businesses and minority-owned businesses, etc. All right? You don't ever hear about this. As a matter of fact, there's been 2 mass shootings recently that all of a sudden, you know, the fucking mainstream media has said nothing about. I'm not even joking around. They've said absolutely nothing about it. But we heard about it on Twitter. Do y'all remember, this Kenosha shooting that happened, day before yesterday? And everybody on Twitter was like, oh my God, this can't keep happening. Oh my God, there was a mass shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Oh my God, how can this continue to happen? I can't believe it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Guess who the demographic was for that shooting? It was a black man. It was a black man. He shot up a bar. All right. Same with the Austin shooting that happened about a few days before that, or day before that Kenosha shooting. All right. The media is a propaganda machine. All right. And just to underscore what kind of a propaganda machine they are, all right, the media had told us Officer Seidnick had died because he was bashed in the head with a fire extinguisher by the so-called protesters. Well, it came out yesterday that Officer Brian Seidnick died of natural causes after defending the Capitol on January 6th. The medical examiner said that this fool died of a stroke. Yet the media ran with the fact that this guy was bashed in the head with an extinguisher, a fire extinguisher, and ran with that story, and just to gain political clout. And even though the fucking truth is out, because they've incepted it in the minds through their propaganda machine, people are still going to believe the narrative that, yeah, the protesters beat this cop in the head with a fire extinguisher, as opposed to the medical examiner saying that he died of natural causes. Seidnick died from strokes. All right? All right, acute brainstem and cerebellar infarcts due to acute basilar artery thrombosis. All right, just to get the actual technical terms right. But no, here you got Vaush over here. Oh, you want to know why blacks are angry? Because what they saw on the George Floyd, yeah, it's fucking white pieces of garbage liberals like you that are antagonizing these black folks to do it. And I'm sure, I could almost guarantee, in my opinion, that this idiot Vaush is laughing his ass off whenever he sees these riots. All these pompous liberals are laughing their asses off because they're like, yep, we got him to do it, and we didn't even have to tell him. All we had to do was use our superior white liberal intellect to force the black people to do our dirty work. Thanks, black folks.
Story they've been told from their family and friends, every bit of history they learned about their race and how they're treated in America. George Floyd was a reflection of police treatment of every black American. Not just police treatment, but the criminal justice system as well. The provable and objective and inarguable, as much as you may try, biases that can be found in all of these institutions. They see that in what happened to George Floyd. Was George Floyd a perfect person? No. Nobody's saying that.
Oh, great.
This is a very common Candace Owens argument. Why are you making a hero of George Floyd? Nobody, to quote a famed stand-up comedian, BLM didn't pick George Floyd. You did, actually. Derek Chauvin did actually pick George Floyd. Nobody else did. Nobody else did. George Floyd wasn't just walking around.
There were 3 officers on top of George Floyd to subdue him. The only shot that people got of the narrative was from the eyewitnesses that were putting their cam on Chauvin, and he was the only officer shown in that struggle with George Floyd. There were 3 officers on him, you dumb shit. What are you talking about? Nobody else? Nobody else.
He deified the man and decided to make him a civil rights hero. No. You killed him. You did that. You made the selection. You chose. You.
Oh my God. People actually listen to this fruit bowl?
That's your fault, buddy. And it turns out a person doesn't have to be an angel to be a star of a civil rights movement. Because people aren't arguing George Floyd is perfect. You know, I've never actually heard a progressive say that. Not a Black Lives Matter type, not a white person, not a black person. I've never heard anybody say that George Floyd was perfect.
You're politically exploiting this drug addict. That's what you're doing.
About whether or not he was an angel.
Nancy Pelosi said it in her speech. You're politically exploiting this fuck.
He was murdered. And today, officially, as designated by the state and the jury, he was. And murderers go to jail.
Yeah, like there was no racial intimidation of the jury, Vaush, huh? Let's negate the fact that Maxine Waters threatened the jury while they were deliberating, and the AP put out their fucking docs. Essentially, their docs.
First of all, there's the broader statistic that very few of these protests.
Then you have Joe Biden an hour before the verdict saying that the jury better bring the right decision, whatever that means.
Have violence initiated by the BLM protesters. I think, in fact, more often, police initiate it with their tactics designed to cut off people, block them in, fire shots into the crowd, tear gas canisters, and rubber bullets. You're likely to initiate violence when that's what you're gunning for. But even beyond that, there's a broad overstatement. The actual harm caused by BLM. What was it, a couple billion? In damages? That's not nothing. I feel bad. For
that's
the small
minor damages caused
down,
by BLM. I mean, do you hear this? This is fucking some pompous fucking white liberal. And of course, he was not affected at all. I guarantee you, if Black Lives Matter or Antifa showed up in this guy's neighborhood and, you know, all that little dumbass man-child bullshit that he's got in the inside of his room there was ransacked, I guarantee you he wouldn't have the same fucking view.
It's not like every business that got burnt down was owned by some sort of fat cat white supremacist or whatever. There were innocent people hurt, and that sucks. That's a real bad thing. I don't think people defend that, but riots are going to happen in times of great injustice. They happen here in America. They've happened here in America historically. They happened all around the world.
Okay.
Great injustice.
Then what's your feeling about the January 6th shit? I'm sure you're going to call that an insurrection, even though the police let the fuckers into the goddamn Capitol. I don't know if y'all saw that. Let's be honest. All right, it's not like, you know, the fucking people in January 6th were beating the shit out of the police. The police just let them in. But no, this idiot won't call that a riot. This idiot won't call that a protest. He'll call it an insurrection, just like Muff Diving Maddow and taking it up the ass having Cooper have.
Great suffering, and suffering leads people to riot. That's just what happens. You can argue that the conditions do not decide or determine that a riot is justified, but riots are never really about justification, are they? I mean, if you want to fix riots, you can't just crack down on them harder and harder. Does that work anywhere? Chat, has that ever worked? An oppressed population in a country, do you just crack down on them harder and that just fixes social unrest? No, never. There are really 2 roads that you can go this way.
What's the roads?
You fix the systemic problem, you know, land of the free, home of the brave, make this country equitable like it's supposed to be, or you go full genocide and systemically exterminate a population. Now I know you're not in favor of the latter. I know you would never signal anything like the latter.
How can anybody
so
fucking
really
listen
only leaves
to this
us
prick?
with one solution, doesn't it? And
I
it's to
mean,
fix the
just
problem.
listening
Or
to
did you
this
think,
guy
telling the black
shows
community
you
their
how
problem was- their
absent-minded
problems are their own
the
fault. That was
people
gonna
on the
fix it,
left
like,
are.
It's like magically, like, oh, well, the black people in the inner
What's up
city,
with this
like,
guy's
oh, wow,
earlobe?
I thought all this sociological and criminological data pointed to our systemic oppression.
What's up with
We
the
just
dude's
weren't trying
earlobe?
hard
Does he
enough.
have like a fucking mass growing or
Okay,
what?
Sure.
That's
Who's living
pretty
in
close to the
fantasy land?
brain, by the way.
Now, conservatives don't riot after stuff like this because conservatives aren't facing injustice. The treatment of Derek Chauvin, that's not injustice. He was not treated poorly. He was a murderer. He got convicted for murder. That's not injustice. The reason why you're not protesting, rioting, what have you right now is because you've got no skin in the game, buddy. The people who are mad over this, all these conservative pundits, your Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro's.
No, skin in the game bullshit. The people that are out there rioting and looting and committing violence don't have fucking jobs. And they're being supported by American taxpayer entitlements. Okay? That the reason conservatives and right-wingers don't go out and do these things is because we got bills and shit. Okay? I mean, you know, we don't just want to give up the things that we've built just because, you know, we, disagree with certain elements of our government. We actually utilize the system at hand to change things. And if you don't believe me, Trump was a good example of that, you fucking milky
They're all
liquor.
millionaires living in gated communities filled with white people. They don't care. They care about this insofar as it benefits their media profile. It's just another minor position they can hold to forestall the inevitable encroachment of BLM onto every aspect of American society. But for black people, this means everything. Because if a
How
man
the fuck
can
do you know? I mean,
Derek Chauvin
you know
did.
what pisses me off is why aren't fucking more black people pissed off at white liberals like this? Like, how the fuck does this guy know anything about black strife? How the fuck does this fucking sheltered, pussy pampered, half a fruit man-child have any identification or even have a glimpse of understanding what the black experience is? All right, I mean, somebody needs to fucking tell Black Lives Matter that if you're going to have people like this defending you, well, then you ain't truly against Whitey. You ain't truly against Whitey. Because if you don't like the whites that are blatantly not liking you, then what? You're going to allow some fucking pompous fruit bowl like this who never is even identified, never even probably been to a ghetto, probably never been to a trailer park or any kind of impoverished situation. He's just been pussy pampered and had the white privilege to be a pampered man-child asshole who looks like he's at least approaching late 20s, early 30s, and he's got Japanese fucking fetish women on his wall. He's got a fucking championship belt, so he's a wrestling fuck. I mean, this is the only way that people like this exist, is that they're fucking sheltered. If they saw a real glimpse, if this guy was out there and was respected by the black folks because he somehow identified with them or communicated with them, well, then maybe I don't know, I'd respect you. Maybe I'd give you a little bit of respect, Vaush. But you're talking all this pompous, arrogant shit behind a fucking man-child background, and I think that anything that you pull out of your fucking suckhole is moot just on those grounds alone.
And walk. That says a whole hell of a lot about how much the people in America care about black folk. Black people have all the skin in the game. You wonder why they get angry? They have all the skin.
What
they have
skin in the
completely
game?
Skinned themselves.
What?
They are walking muscle and ligament and fat automatons. All their skin has already been set aside into the game. That is how it works. What do you have? You have a little pinky tip? You have nothing. Of course you're not angry. The only reason conservatives are mad about this is because they don't want to live in a country where black people get justice. Real.
That's bullshit.
Like, real.
That is absolute bullshit.
That's it.
Okay?
That's a little word.
That is absolute crap. But you are agitating this situation with that rhetoric in hopes of inflaming more senses from the black community, so you, as a white, pompous, privileged, sheltered liberal, can boast in your own sick, real racist mind in the fact that, oh, look at me. All I did was just pander to the Black Lives Matter folk and claimed that I care about their issues. And look at what I'm making them do. I'm giving them the bravado to think that, yes, they've got skin in the game and they have the right to riot. Jesus fucking Christ.
That's a little worry in the back of your head. A fear magnified 1,000 times maybe by watching Tucker Carlson, but in terms of how it actually affects your life, we're talking negligible, minimal, minor, non-existent. Or is the real material consequences of stuff like this affects black people very significantly. So you can rave and rant all you want, conservatives, about how unfair all of this is, but conviction's the conviction, and just this time we won. And if history is anything to look back on.
This is how these liberals think. We won. Who the fuck is we? Who the fuck are you? Are you talking about the Democrats? Are you talking about the progressives? Are you talking about the communists who want to take this country down? And if you are one of those communists, how come you're not out there at the front lines? How come you're not writing books? Even if you're not on the front lines, how come you're not writing books or giving speeches that are inspiring folks on the front line to fight? You don't. You're an idiot. You're an insignificant white fucking liberal piece of trash. All right? You don't identify with anybody in poverty. All right? Just look at your fucking room. You cannot identify with anybody who truly struggles whatsoever. The only reason that you're touting this is because you think that you're an educated, liberal, white asshole. And through your so-called intellect, at least according to your degrees, you think that you can manipulate minds through your fucking tired hyperbole.
Gone. We're
Jesus
only
Christ.
going to keep winning from here. Generally, you don't see significant backslides into regressivism unless you end democracy entirely, like you tried to do back in 2020. But, you know, barring that, as long as you want to live in a country that even remotely resembles,
all right, I'm done with this.
All right, that were laid out.
All right, fucking Lefty or Larry Lefterson or whatever the hell his name is. He donated a $30.
You should be happy about that,
and that's about it.
Because
this guy's not even saying anything.
People, you know?
He's
Black
acting like a
really
girl that just got the fucking the captain of the football team
are the main
and is
of
gloating
the
in front of the school. That's what this fucking
people.
guy's reminding. Get this fucking idiot off. All right, seriously, that's what this guy reminds me of. He reminds me of some bitch that's gotten the captain of the football team to go with her to the dance, and he's like, ha, I win. In front of all the... I mean, what a fucking prick, dude. Seriously. But these are the people that are out here agitating the situation.